Once upon a time. Welcome to Australian Book Lovers, your destination for imagination.
Australian Book Lovers acknowledges First Nations peoples and recognises their continuous connection to country, community and to culture. We pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging, and honour the sharing of traditional stories passed down through generations. We're committed to a safe and inclusive welcome for authors and readers of all cultures and backgrounds, including people of LGBTQIA+ communities and their families.
A big warm welcome to everyone and a huge thank you for joining us for the Australian Book Lovers podcast. Our mission is to bring fabulous Australian and Indigenous literature that spans a whole range of genres to book lovers around the globe, as well as fantastic resources and information for passionate authors looking to write their next bestseller. I'm Laurie Bell, science fiction and fantasy author, blogger, short story and flash fiction writer, and your co-host today, coming to you from Wurundjeri Wurrung country.
And
How are you, Veronica?
Yes, that's right. And I am Veronica Strachan, aka V.E. Patton, picture book, memoir, science fiction and fantasy author, reader of many genres, and your founder and co-host, coming to you today also from Wurundjeri Wurrung country, which is a little bit chilly this morning, but yeah, there we go.
It's funny, everywhere else seems to have 30 and 30 degree days.
Yes.
Sydney, Queensland, we're still sitting at 16.
We are. We are. Foolishly, I decided I'd hang the clothes out yesterday, trying to...
Well, the winds have been insane.
That could be good, and
it
was a little bit sunny. By the time I was hanging out the last thing, it had already started to rain, and I thought, okay, well, I just unpinned them all again, but I went in and yelled out to Ian, what's the weather like? He goes, I think it's going to clear. And then, of course, it pelted down. So I went and brought them back in. As I'm hanging them over the rack in front of the dryer, the sun bursts out.
Because it did. Yep, because it did. Yeah. We're really getting some interesting wild winds as well. We are. Which is setting us all off, I think. I think we've all been a bit agitated in the last week. Yes, so hopefully...
Well, that's right. With the advent of spring coming up, maybe that's, the daffodils and jonquils might be, and the wattle is all out, which is lovely.
Beautiful. So, yeah, and the blossoms are out as well. All the various blossom
all coming. Things are greening up again.
Looking lovely. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, except for the rain.
Except for the rain. Yeah. Anyway. All right. So we've got a lot to get through today. So we've got a fabulous interview with Andrea Putting a bit later, talking about her compassionate prosperity and compassionate purpose, where she's a non-fiction author and speaker. We've got news. We've got so much, mind you. Laurie and I have talked for about a good half hour before.
We've had, it's like at some point we need to hit record.
So we've done lots of that. We have 4 book spotlights, the last one being Nedingar Ancestors, which is by Isobel Bevis and Leanne Zilm. And Isobel, you might remember, we talked to with Victor Stephenson when we were interviewing the authors of the Carrigia Awards shortlist. So, fantastic. But anyway, getting carried away.
Yes.
Where shall we begin today? Where do you want to start? Because we also promised, didn't we, Laura? We made a promise.
We made a promise to do our pitches today. Yes, which we are still going to do.
Yes, but
I will be completely honest. I have been swamped with work and editing and all sorts of things this week, so I did not practice the way I should have. But we are still going to do it, and it might be slightly more read than it should be, but it'll give everyone a good idea of what sort of info to put in a pitch and how to put that through, and hopefully we don't stuff it.
No, that's right, because they were a bit different, because I only had a minute.
And I got
you
3.
had 3 minutes. Yep. So it was a little bit different, and you did yours through the Australian Society of Authors. I did mine through the Australian Writers Centre. But always good to have a listen. So
great example.
I think we start with some news. We've done the weather, which is our usual thing. So
You have to do it in Melbourne. That's just the rule.
It's one of our things. Yeah.
That's
all
right.
Time for some news. I have a lot of news because I get the email from Books and Publishing, and there was just so much going on that I thought, oh, wow, look at all of that that's going on.
Yeah.
So Books and Publishing, and again, like the Australian Society of Authors, a good organisation to keep an eye on and to follow. But I do want to start with one that I found on the ABC, which was that Keanu Reeves and China Mieville are writing a book.
Yes, I heard
Did you
a little
see
bit
that?
about that. I did see that. I'm sorry, anything with Keanu, I'm going to be all over. So,
Yeah,
because he's such a good person, or at least he
Yes.
seems to be. There seems to be a genuineness that I really enjoy.
Yes, and
Yeah.
people say nice bloke. So anyway, The Book of Elsewhere is a fantasy novel, which is just as gory as you'd expect. So jump on the ABC and type in Keanu Reeves and China Mieville, and the article is by Nicola Heath and Claire Nichols for the book show. And I think I don't know, must have just been having a little bit of run, or either that or the algorithms got me looking at, because I know I looked at one thing. But yes, because he's also a film director, musician, comic book author, philanthropist, and inspiration for one of the internet's favorite memes, and a theatre actor set to make his Broadway debut in a 2025 production of Waiting for Godot, which is what else can this gentleman do anyway?
And I love the idea of it being a fantasy book.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's based on the BRZRKR comic series that Reeves co-created with comic book author Matt Kint and illustrator Ron Garney. So we've got so much news. I'm just going to leave it at that and say to you, get on and do that. But how's this for an interesting coincidence? So hubby and I were in Ballarat the other day and went to one of those vintage places. We love to look at junk. It's a terrible thing. We don't need any more junk in our house, but anyway, we love to look at junk.
It's good to look at.
It is good to look at. And hubby also has a record player, and so there was a Carly Simon, Best of Carly Simon. I really love Carly. And can you believe she's 81 years old?
No.
The woman is amazing. Anyway, beautiful voice. Got the Best of Carly Simon. So then I just started looking up a few things on there. Her father is the Simon of Simon and Schuster.
Really?
How about that?
Oh, that's
Isn't that interesting?
Wow. Okay, interesting.
Yes. So I just thought, well, there's a good segue.
Yeah.
Because, of course, the news is that Simon and Schuster Australia have acquired a firm press, or that a firm press is going to become part of Simon and Schuster. So a firm are one of our great indie publishers.
Yes.
So, and have really put a lot of great Aussie authors out there.
In fact, they've had so many awards in the last couple of years. I mean, it's not surprising that they'd be very attractive to a bigger place. But a bit of a shame that we're losing another indie pub.
Yeah, I hope they keep it as an imprint and keep the kind of ethos that a firm press have had. So anyway, we'll watch this space. So that's a good one. Booktopia's website is up and running, following as well as we mentioned last time. And the Australian Publishers Association has announced Books and Publishing will produce the 2025 Australian Book Industry Awards, the ARBIAs, which is really good.
Yeah. So that's good support there.
Yep. The State Library of Queensland is looking for proposals from Australian publishers to partner with them in delivering the Black and Right project for 2025. And Book People announced its conference is going to take place in Brisbane, in Meanjin. So there you go. In award news, Janine Williams was named the inaugural recipient of the $30,000 Linley Dodd Children's Writers Award. And if you don't know who Linley Dodd is, then you've never read Harry McClary from Donaldson's Dairy, or talked about Scarface Claw, the toughest Tom in town. So yes, that's the Linley Dodd Writers Award. So congratulations to Janine Williams.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
Well, I was also going to remind people that there is the Ian Wilson Fellowship that is still entries closed 30th of September 2024. So the May Gibbs Children Literature Trust has opened the Ian Wilson Memorial Fellowship for applications, which is open to children's authors and illustrators. And the successful applicant will receive accommodation, support, travel, and creative time away from home for 21 nights in March. I know. And
that is pretty damn good.
Speaking of retreats and that sort of thing, it's fantastic. And I know quite a few authors. I think there's actually some mutual authors that we know are off on a weekend away doing some fabulous writing this weekend. So good luck to all of them. They know who I'm talking about.
This is good. Now, interestingly, there was also, and I got this from two different sources. One was the Books and Publishing, but also from The Conversation. Academic Wigger Journalistic Play. I quite like the way they sometimes match scientists or science with journalists so that they can make it available for general consumption, let's just say, without it being too, stuck in all our fabulous words that we tend to use in science. But they have got the best Australian books of the 21st century as chosen by 50 experts, because it was in response to, is it the New York Times? Yes. The much discussed New York Times list featured 0 Australian books, which was dreadful. How dare they? I know, right? But what I was absolutely chuffed to see was that of the best Australian books chosen by 50 experts, we have the fabulous Laura Jean McKay, The Animals in That Country. Beautiful, which I read. So there we go, a speculative fiction. Another Day in the Colony, Chelsea Ortega, which I've also read, which is also fantastic. So please have a look up. They've got Tim Winton's The Shepherd's Harp. The Secret River by Kate Grenville, and I know a lot of people really love that. I struggled with that one, but they've got The Vitals, they've got J.M. Coetzee, they've got Fiona McFarlane, Sean Tan, and of course the 13-story Treehouse made it in, which is really good by Andy Griffiths and Terry Denton. That's fantastic. And naturally enough, there's books there by Helen Garner, Michelle de Kretzer, Alexis Wright. So there's some poetry. There's, Alexis Wright's got 2, Carpentaria and Praiseworthy, which of course was a recent win. Black Work by Alison Whittaker, West Girls. Anyway. Fantastic.
Huge list.
So
that's great.
A huge list, which was fantastic to have a look at. And then they started asking on, I think it was Instagram, what would your absolutely must-read book of the 21st century be? And mate, that was so tough.
I don't even think that I could pick one.
I would just feel
the read pile is
like I was betraying
big.
all the others.
Yeah.
I could put 50 together myself, but I couldn't do one.
Oh wow, that's a tough one.
That is a tough one. So I thought that was interesting. Anyway, the only other little bit of news I have is that there was a survey that came through from Draft to Digital, because I do publish some of my books through there.
I was going to mention
that
too. Go ahead.
What do you think about book rights in relation to AI? So they were in a really positive way saying, please tell us what you think. A lot of publishers are now being approached by large learning machine people to say, what would you feel if we, what would you charge us if we would to buy some of those things? So they're asking their authors, what do you think about having your book scraped for this learning, if it was just an internal one, or if it was just a one that was going to be a competitive thing where they generated a book themselves. So some interesting, challenging questions.
Interesting survey as well, given that it is a book distribution platform. That hopefully it is not doing a survey to plan to offer the books on their list, because there's not a lot you can do if your distribution platform is going to go down a line that you do not want them to go down.
No. So good on you, Draft to Digital, for asking what the opinions are and seeing. So it's tricky. It's another conversation. And I know we had Danielle Claude from the ASA came on and chatted to us about where things were happening in Australia with copyright. And, you mentioned last week about Google and Amazon. And
we should see if we can get them on again, just with
yes,
current updates.
see, what's happening.
Yeah.
But there you go. I think that's enough news, isn't it? Or
I'll
even
just
more?
chuck in one
Yeah.
last one, which is the 2025 Stella Prize is still open. It is open
Woohoo.
until the 6th of October, which is for the best book written by a woman or non-binary writer, published between the 1st of January and the 31st of December 2024. And the winners will receive $60,000, with the shortlist receiving $4,000 each and the long list $1,000 each. So make sure you get your entries in for that. So it closes 6th of October.
Very good.
Oh, and I did want to throw in one little reminder with
Yep.
the Australian Copyright Council, which
Mhm.
is a fantastic advocate as well.
Mhm.
And I just had the reminder with the question being asked, do I have to register my copyright? And of course, in Australia at least. So copyright is free and automatic and exists the moment you express your creation in material form, e.g. draw or sketch on paper, paint a picture on canvas, record a video on a smartphone. There is no need to register copyright in Australia, pay any money, or get a signature from a lawyer or JP to acquire copyright for your work. So that is a good reminder to have.
Definitely.
Let's see. I think that was all that I had on my little list. Yes, it is. So I think we've done enough news for today.
That is enough news. It
Yeah.
must be time for some book spotlights.
Yay.
Okay, and as I mentioned earlier, we have, I've given us 4 because I have so many waiting to be spotlighted that it was, time to just move things along a bit.
Yep.
Let me just bring up my book spotlights. Here we go. Book spotlights for episode 119. Can you believe 119 episodes?
119. That's amazing. I'm loving it.
All right.
Right. Do you want to start today?
I will start. And
Excellent.
of course, this is Talon Marked by Sue Ellen Pashley, which is a fantasy. And we talked to Sue Ellen just a couple of episodes ago.
Yeah.
And here is the blurb. So, because Talon Marked is out now. Sage is searching for her lost brother, the only other family member to survive when the dragons attacked their village 10 years ago, and will do whatever it takes to see them reunited. However, a chance encounter with an injured dragon changes her destiny. Against her will, Sage is bonded to the dragon Sava, a talon mark burned into her skin, setting her apart from other humans. But when she learns that not everything she's been told about the war is true, and that Sava has also suffered loss, she must decide whether she trusts him enough to work together to end the war.
Of course, we did speak to Sue Ellen Pashley. She is a writer of copious amounts of words, just because if they didn't come out, she's sure they'd make her head explode.
I love that.
Totally understand that view. She is an internationally published author, with her stories having found homes in Australia and the US, UK, Germany, and Korea. Sue Ellen lives in a beach town in central Queensland with her family, 2 dogs, and a snake called Slide. She loves quirky shoes, dark chocolate, and good tea. An eternal optimist, she enjoys making things difficult for her protagonists, but loves a happy ending. And of course, you can find Sue Ellen on sueellenpashley.com.au, her website. She's also on Facebook and Instagram as Sue Ellen Pashley Author.
Very good.
So there we go.
The second one is also a speculative fiction, so it comes under the same broad umbrella, but something completely different. So this is Secondhand Daylight by Eugen and Andrew Hook. Something is happening to Green. He is an ordinary guy, time jumping forward at a startling, uncontainable rate. He is grappling to understand his present. His relationship is wholly tattered. His ultimate destination is a colossal question mark. Zada is a scientist in the future. She is mindful of Green's conundrum and seeks to unravel it by going backwards in time. Can she stop him from jumping to infinity? Their point of intersection is fleeting but memorable, each one's travel impacting the other's past or future. and one of them doesn't even know it yet. Secondhand Daylight is a reverse story in alternate timelines between two protagonists whose lives must one day intersect. A titillating offering from World Fantasy Award finalist Eugen Bacon, an otherwise fellowship honoree for doing exciting work in gender and speculative fiction, in collaboration with three-time British Fantasy Society Award winner Andrew Hook.
And of course, Eugen Bacon is an African Australian author. She's a British Fantasy Award winner, a Forward Indies Award winner, a twice World Fantasy Award finalist, and a finalist in Other Words. And absolutely fantastic and a friend of our show. Eugen was announced in the honour list of the Otherwise Fellowships for doing exciting work in gender and speculative fiction. Danged Black Thing made the Otherwise Award on a list as a sharp collection of Afro-surrealist work and was a 2024 Philip K. Dick Award nominee. Andrew Hook has had over 160 short stories published. That's so many. With several novels, novellas, and collections also in print. Stories have appeared in magazines ranging from Ambit to Interzone. Recent books are a collection of mostly science fiction stories, Frequencies of Existence, Newcon Press, and a series of crime novels through Headshot Press. He lives in Norwich, UK, and you can find Eugen at eugenbacon.com. On X, Eugen Bacon, Instagram, and Threads, Eugen Bacon. So make sure you get onto that one. That sounds like an absolutely fabulous one, that one.
Indeed. And Eugen is currently down in Tassie on a fellowship,
yes,
doing some great work. But I know she's doing workshops all over the country. She is a fabulous writer and a brilliant contributor to the writing community in Australia and supporting other African Australian writers as well. So. And I did read this book, and people might have noticed that I did a review. Did I put the review up? I think a few episodes back.
I think so, yeah.
It was a great book, but you have to read it slowly because it was so complex and interlinked. You know, it wasn't something you could rush through because it challenges as Eugen's work, I find, always does. Yeah, really good. Yeah. Okie dokies. We've got book 3 is called Ask Auntie. Seasons by Aunty Munya, and it was illustrated by Charmaine Ledden-Lewis, and it's an educational picture book and one of the Karagia Awards shortlists. So Ask Auntie Seasons is a delightful and educational picture book for children aged 5 to 10 years that introduces First Nations seasonal calendars. Have you ever been excited for the first day of summer, only to be disappointed when it arrives cold and rainy? For First Nations people, the seasons don't change when the calendar does. Instead, we can look for changes in plants, animals, water, weather, and the stars to mark the start of a new season. Aunty Munya explains how there are 6 seasons on her country. Mankal is the rainy season, bringing strong winds from the ocean, while Bargain is the season when bush fruits are most plentiful. With stunning illustrations by Charmaine Ledden-Lewis, Ask Auntie Seasons encourages all readers to develop a deeper connection with the land, waters, and sky.
And Aunty Munya is an Aboriginal elder, originally from the Kimberley region of Western Australia. Despite a socially disadvantaged background and not speaking for the first 5 years of her life, Aunty Munya has been an accomplished and influential voice for her community. As a public speaker, she's much sought after in Australia and abroad. Educated in Australia and the USA, Aunty Munya has degrees in anthropology and law. She has practiced law in Victoria and New South Wales as a solicitor and a barrister, including as a legal academic at the University of Melbourne and Southern Cross University, teaching Indigenous legal subjects. As an elder, Aunty Munya is equally well-versed in traditional laws, customs, and practices. Like many Aboriginal people, Aunty Munya has learned to work and live in 2 worlds. Her dream is to bring them closer together, and cultural awareness is an invaluable tool in the process. Aunty Munya is the co-director of Evolve Communities, which specialises in cultural awareness training and ally accreditation. And you can find Aunty Munya Andrews at www.evolves.com.au/Aunty Munya Andrews.
Beautiful.
There we go. Fantastic.
Our final book of the day is Nedingar Ancestors, which is, again, a picture book, non-fiction, by Isobel Bevis, who we chatted to, as I mentioned earlier, and Leanne Zilm.
Yes.
So This lyrical dual language picture book from two debut First Nations creators celebrates the beauty of country and family. Please, Mum, I want to meet my ancestors. I want to learn from them so I know who I am. Inspired by a love of country from an Indigenous perspective, every family will relate to this beautiful bilingual picture book as brought to life by Noongar storytellers Isobel Bevis and Leanne Zilm, highlighting the rich cultural heritage we all share. The book features gorgeously hand-painted images of Australian flora and fauna.
Gorgeous pictures too. So author Isobel Bevis is a Wilman, Noongar and Balladong woman. She grew up in a large Noongar family living on Wilman Budja. Isobel is a teacher with a Master of Indigenous Language Education and is passionate about education and supporting Aboriginal students and families. She started writing to stay connected to family and culture, with her strength and knowledge coming from the matriarchs in her family. She has loving memories of listening to her nana's stories. Illustrator Leanne Zilm is a descendant of Wajari and Gorong Noongar tribal groups. Leanne started painting in 2016 when her mother, who was a landscape artist, encouraged her to take up art. Leanne works with acrylics, and the backgrounds of her paintings are created using an acrylic pour technique. Her art is inspired by the natural environment in southwest of Western Australia, and they are beautiful pictures, those ones.
Yes,
Fabulous
and it is
book.
an absolutely beautiful part of the world. So there you go, 4 book spotlights.
Wow.
So many more
Love it.
on the website. We've got more than 500. It's just amazing, amazing, amazing. So we're kind of hitting some milestones. You know, we did the 10,000 downloads.
Which is absolutely fantastic. So
which
thank
is
you to all
brilliant.
our listeners.
And really, thank you to our supporters as well. Really appreciate the people who sponsor the podcast and just help a little bit with the, paying for the platform. And if you would like to sponsor us, please feel free to jump on the website or jump onto Buzzsprout, and you can click the little heart and give us a couple of dollars a month or one off. No need to sign up forever. You can just do it how you feel comfortable.
Whatever
we would
you
really
can.
appreciate it. And it's not just us getting out and having a good time, but we do post out our books, and we do need some funds to help keep us going.
And if you're an Australian or Indigenous author and you'd like to list your book for free, then head to australianbooklovers.com/for-authors and send us all your details.
Absolutely.
And you can also find us on Twitter, Australian Books, Instagram and Threads at Australian Book Lovers, LinkedIn and YouTube, and possibly everywhere online getting in your annoying threads. I don't know.
Indeed. Spotify
sharing
is
everywhere
now. So there you go.
Yes.
And not only do we podcast, we put the podcast up, but sometimes I can get around to putting some of the features of the week, because the homepage we changed the features of the week. So we had DG Rampton's Regency Goddess series up this week, and it's time for me to change them. But yes, if you are missing Bridgerton, if that's your thing, you better jump on and buy DG Rampton's. I was about to reveal her name then, which I shouldn't do because she writes under the pseudonym, so that's all good. But I did want to show, for people who are watching, I'm just going to stand up and show people my t-shirt. For those of you who are listening, I'm wearing a Chickabella t-shirt, Chickabella and the Rainbow Magic, and she's got her magic wand in her hand, and she goes from red at her little furry feet all the way up through orange and yellow and green and blue and violet indigo, because I was especially wearing it, and it's on purple because it was Purple Day yesterday. We're recording at the last day of August, the last day of winter. Good on us. Hopefully. But so Wear It Purple Day is showing support for LGBTQIA plus youth. And I was mentioning to Laurie that one of my workplaces has joined with one of the local high schools, and they were doing some work together to share knowledge and to just have a bit of fun with the residents and students, supporting good mental health, and really showing our support for you. So there you go. So I have got my Chickabella t-shirt on today because my daughter, who's the illustrator, and I were very keen to make sure we included diverse names for the chickens, and all the colours, of course, was symbolic of rainbow communities. So there you go.
Love it. And they're such good books. You need to get onto these books. They are beautiful picture books. So get your hands on some as soon as you possibly can, because they're lovely. I love those books.
Thank you.
I have a whole
And
collection for my nieces.
Excellent. And that was one thing that the Sydney Authors Inc. did ask me to read, Chickabella. So I did read. I did read a Chickabella book, which was good. Now we've got lots to do. So while we're girding ourselves up to do our pitch, I'm going to share some John Koenig words with you. I'm going to share scruff.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
How about scruff, which is a verb to mindlessly perform a tedious task that nobody will ever notice, required by a bureaucracy that nobody fully owns, in pursuit of outcomes that nobody really wants.
Story of my life. Story of my working life. Love it.
That is from scrow, SCROW, to work hard, and scruff, useless bits of leftover material, and cog, a tiny forgettable element in a complicated machine. So scrog, no, it's pronounced scrog, SCROUGH. Thank you, John. I think that was a very beautiful one.
That's a great one. Love it. That's a good word. That's a good word.
Now, the next one I've got for you is sueza, which is a noun, and it's a feeling of quiet amazement that you exist at all, a sense of gratitude that you were even born in the first place, that you somehow emerged alive and breathing despite all odds, having won an unbroken streak of reproductive lotteries that stretches all the way back to the beginning of life itself. And it's absolutely true. It is absolutely, it is a miracle that humans are ever born. So yes, sueza.
Wow.
And my last one is called, oh no, is it the one? Yes. This is Arroya. And I really love this one. So this is ARROIA, and it's a noun, and it's the wish that you could have enjoyed a dry run of your life, muddling through once quickly, then going back to do it all again, this time for real.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah. Yep, I like that one.
Yeah. I thought, yes, those are kind of appropriate. In particular, the mindless one is something that there's an exercise you can do, which is you choose a mindless task and you write that mindless task down, and you say, by doing that, I'm able to, and then you write that down, and by doing that, I'm able to write down. And it's amazing how sometimes those mindless tasks actually give you the ability to be able to fulfill something in your life that you didn't really know you had or that you were able to do. So even though they're mindless, it's not necessarily useless.
Fascinating.
It is fascinating. Yeah, it's an exercise that I do with my little leaders. All right.
Love it.
Are you ready for a pitch, Laurie?
Yes, and then we should be jumping into our lovely interview for today, shouldn't we?
Indeed, we should.
I'm trying to distract myself. So
of course you are.
Like, what else should we be doing? Okay. Well, very quickly, but so because we do have the differences, you've got 1 minute, I've got 3. Did you want to mention the sorts of things that should be included in a 1 minute pitch, and then I'll go through the details for a 3 minute pitch?
That's a really good idea.
And still distracting from my pitch.
Absolutely. And of course, I should have looked up the emails and the fabulous instructions that Pamela gave us with the Australian Writers Centre, but short, sharp, get to the point very quickly. And we were very lucky enough to be able to present to Jo McKay from Pam at Mill Australia, she was just delightful and so wonderfully empathetic and listening. And as you and I talked about, it really is that publicists and agents are human, and they do as much as they can and to promote as many as they can. So yes, the pitch was you've got to get it out as quickly as you can. So short, sharp, just about the first character. Don't overcomplicate it. You had to talk about the main points of the story. You had to give away the ending somewhat. So without
just drop that bit from when you read it out, I think. Don't give it away. Yep.
Soften it a bit.
But for agents. Yep.
Yes. And then also you had to give comp titles as well. So yeah, there we go.
Okay.
So you want me to read mine?
Yeah, you do yours first.
Okay. All right. And I'm going to hold it up here because same as you, I haven't practiced it this week. It's been a big week. Okay. So hello, Laurie. Thank you for listening. So very important that you remember to say to the person you're pitching, hello, and thank you for listening, because even if you're really nervous, take your time to connect to that person. Okay, take a deep breath in, make sure your lips are wet, you've got a glass of water in case you choke, and you're good.
All right.
All right. So Anemoid is a 94,000 word standalone biopunk space opera aimed at female identifying adults over 35. Yanni Cabot, a prickly echidna-human hybrid from a small agrarian planet, launches herself across the post-annihilation void to rescue an adult daughter she's never met. Betrayal, from human and hybrid alike, stalks her every move, but during a disastrous mother-daughter reunion, Yanni discovers the genetic code to unlock human longevity and enable prohibited interspecies reproduction. Tragic circumstances then force Yanni to confront a lifetime of self-deception, decide how human she really wants to be, and to wonder which species deserves a future. So Anemoid should appeal to readers of Amanda Bridgman and Claire Coleman, Kylie Chan's Dragon Empire, and Kate Norman. I just had too many to go there. So those are as close as I could come to comp titles. So it's, there you go.
Comp titles are hard. I think that's
it's
the
really
hardest
hard.
part of a pitch.
Yes, it's really hard. So
particularly because the books that might be when you out and that you're comping when you're writing the story might be completely different by the time you've ended the story and is ready to pitch, let alone when it's published in 2, 3, 5 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
and
that's
the
a great
questions
pitch.
for the thank you. The questions for, because you helped me with it, so you know. So the questions were, they also said, how is your book different, and what else have you written, to anything about the other main characters, and why did you write it? And there was a beautiful essay by somebody's thesis, so their PhD thesis, by Angela Andonopoulos, who I must see if I can find her and see if she would come on. Fascinated by questions of personhood and post-human ethics, of whether human essence can be located in the mind, body, or soul. And she studies the politics of the biologically deviant post-human body. And, that was just like absolutely what I'm fascinated about. What does it mean to be human? And if you bioengineer, as I've done, Australian mammals into humans to help them survive in the world, because as we know, echidnas are survivors.
Yeah.
What part of them is human and what part of them is echidna? And I've, tried to put echidna proclivities in and those kind of things. So
that's fantastic.
I had a good time writing that.
Yeah, no, that's a great one. And you know what? Shout out to any agents that are listening, any publishers that are listening. Get onto that one, because that sounds so much fun. I mean, who wouldn't want to be part echidna or part kangaroo?
Yes.
Or part koala.
Yes. And traveling through space. Come on.
Traveling through space. Best part.
Yes, absolutely best part. So it is only at first draft, so no, it's got a long way to go before it's ready to see the light of day. Yeah. Laurie,
still a great pitch.
Stop procrastinating now.
Oh, stop it. Yeah, no. I know. Anyway, so with the 3-minute pitch, so it's a bit longer, which lets you think, get a bit more information in there. We were discussing with it being in a paragraph style. So first paragraph being some data about the book, then a paragraph or potentially 2 actually on the book, giving the details of the story, but then getting a paragraph towards the end with why you wrote the book, or if there's some information that you want to come out of what you want your readers and potentially your querying agents and small publishers to hook into, but also then to give a bit of a bio. So it's the bio bit that was, I found, part of the really tricky stuff. Because you need to sell yourself. And isn't it interesting how we as writers, this is our job, we're writing a book to sell, but selling ourselves is really, you get a bit self-conscious about that, and you need to get beyond that and go, you know what, no, I'm good at this stuff, this is what I do. And the other thing that come out of the pitch training is just that reminder that no agent or publisher, big or small, is sitting there wanting you to fail. So when you're pitching to them, they perfectly understand that you're nervous, that it's an uncomfortable situation. It's not something that you're trained in or familiar with doing, and they don't want you to fail. They're not sitting there going, ha ha ha, yeah, you stuffed up that second line. So that was actually a really good reminder to have when preparing your pitch. And anyway, I'm still procrastinating, so let me give you my pitch. All right. The Staff of Power is an upper middle grade science fiction fantasy, age range 11 to 15. I see 12 plus as my sweet spot. The Staff of Power is complete at 78,000 words, and I imagine it would be shelved near Christelle Dabos's The Mirror Visitor series, as The Staff of Power is a Winter's Promise meets How to Train Your Dragon story with series potential. It is about friendship and family, dealing with rejection, and discovering who you truly are. On a magical planet, desert planet, empathic student Shima dreams of becoming a healer. She knows that numbers are small and very few are chosen. It's her parents' dream for her too. The whole family will benefit from her choosing. It's why Shima is so devastated when none of the elite teachers choose her. She'll be cast out and her family shamed. As the clock chimes, Shima is thrown a lifeline by an unknown teacher who offers her a path out. But he's a farmer who breeds strange magical beasts, and Shima is heartbroken. Her teacher's ex-student learns of Shima's choosing, and he's furious that he's been replaced. In his fury, he turns against her and his old teacher and attacks the Citadel, targeted because that's where Shima's family live. Shima's choice is impossible. If she abandons her teacher to save her family, she'll be cast out. But if she stays, she'll lose them. With the help of some unlikely allies and her new abilities, Shima must stop Talon from destroying everything she holds dear and discover who she truly wants to be. And so I wrote Staff of Power because I've seen in my nieces and nephews and other school children an inability to deal with rejection. The Staff of Power is a story of a young girl who does not get what she wants, and it's how she gets back up and finds a new dream that's at the heart of this story. So I want readers of Staff of Power to see that it's okay not to get what you want the first time you try, and there may be many paths to achieve your dreams. And I have several books published. The Butterfly Stone and the Tiger's Eye, and now The Crow's Heart, are published by Wyvern's Peak Publishing. The Butterfly Stone won the 2020 Reader's Favourite Bronze Award for YA Urban. My self-published science fiction novel White Fire was a finalist in the 2021 Reader's Favourite New Adult category. I'm an ex-teacher and also have a Bachelor of Arts degree with a credit in creative writing. I have completed Pitch Perfect through the ASA and From Pitch to Publish, a US-based online writing workshop. I've had 2 mentorships through the Manuscript Appraisal Agency and have 2 short stories published in anthologies, which is actually 3 now, which is exciting. And I've also published a collection of science fiction short stories myself. I have 2 other completed manuscripts, an adult sci-fi and an adult contemporary speculative thriller. Thank you for your time, and I hope you have a really nice day.
Okay, that is very beautiful.
So that was my pitch. And again, hey, agents, books, indie publishers, reach out. I'm still looking for a home for this story. So
yeah, fantastic.
Dragons. Who doesn't love dragons?
Who doesn't love dragons?
Awesome.
And what a beautiful lesson for kids to explore with that, because that's real life, but done
particularly at the moment. Like you don't always get the dream that you have, particularly as a young kid. Oh, I want to be an astronaut. Oh, I want to be a scientist, or whatever it might be. That you might not get the score that's going to get you into that first course, but you could do a hybrid course that will get you into a stream that will then allow you to get into that scientist, doctor, vet, whatever the course might be. That there's always other paths, and I think we forget to tell everyone it's okay that if your first shot at something doesn't work.
And yes, as you say, publicists, agents, get out there. This is a great story, and you've got somebody with so many good runs on the board that has so many fabulous books out there as well. Really love it.
We get out there to push ourselves, but it is very hard. I still find it really hard to tell people about all of my fantastic books and where you can get them and jump on that. And thank you.
Yes, and again, I've got nieces who absolutely love Crow's Heart, Butterfly Stone, and Tiger's Eye.
And I've nearly completed, well, I have completed the first draft, second, third, and fourth, and fifth draft of book 5, and it is the finale. So I now know how it ends. And I'm still working madly on editing that one because it would be fantastic to finish my first series as well.
Oh, it's good. It's good. Yes, and of course I'm waiting for the next one of Whitefire. Could you get on with that, please? So I don't want
Yes. Oh, I know. It is. I have finished the first draft. That is exciting. I have finished a couple of drafts, but it is still being worked on.
In the wind, yeah.
As well.
All good. All good. Brilliant. So if you love any of our pictures, and we really suggest that it's good to practice to jump onto any of those sites. There's lots of places that can help you.
But it is a great exercise to do as well, with breaking down your book in such a way to sell it to someone else. And the suggestion is to rehearse it over and over and over again, to practice, to even record yourself doing it, which is a little bit weird, absolutely, but it lets you get your timing right, because with some of these pitching projects, you have such a tight window to get your information in.
It was a little over then, but I just took my time and gave you a little bit extra.
Bit more relaxing when you're not actually pitching to a person staring at you, hoping you do a good job.
Exactly. And as V, I was the last person. So after Ida and now, so it was a bit tricky. But no, Jo was absolutely delightful, as was Pamela Freeman. So yeah, all good. I think it's time for interview.
Yes, we need to jump on. So, and Andrea Putting.
Yes, bring it on.
Okay.
Welcome, book lovers. I have with us today an absolutely brilliant author who's got some really important messages to share with you. Welcome to Australian Book Lovers, Andrea Putting.
Thank you, Veronica. It's a joy to be here, to be able to share on this wonderful day.
What we say wonderful, the weather might not be wonderful, but it's always good to chat with people about their work, and particularly yourself, about purpose and passion in life. So I'm going to read your bio for our listeners. So if you hang on a minute, because Andrea's bio is pretty significant and it might take me a minute to get through it. All right. Andrea Putting is an international speaker, author, and trusted advisor to authentic influencers. Through her keynote speeches, books, programs, and podcasts, she guides individuals and businesses in building co-creative communities and adopting social missions. After studying naturopathy and homeopathy, Andrea started her business as an early adopter of the online world. When she sold this business, she entered the workforce as an employee. Here, she discovered a world that also needed healing. Her deep exploration led her to the social mission revolution. Since 2019, Andrea has been championing the causes of passionate people making a difference in the world through her podcast, Social Mission Revolution. The podcast highlights inspirational people and businesses who have an authentic influence on the world through social mission. When we combine our passions, something magical can be created. Andrea's passions and values came together to create her social mission, where people can come together to break down barriers. Chocolate and Coffee Day for Religious Harmony began on the 15th of December 2015, my birthday. Thank you, Andrea, just for that one. And chocolate and coffee breaks evolved in 2020 to transform situations where there are feelings of non-acceptance and misunderstanding into building a community spirit. Andrea was awarded Toastmaster of the Year in her local club in 2016. She was honoured with awards as the Best Volunteer and Best Tribe Member in Global Awards with Speakers Tribe in 2020, and nominated as Best Leader in 2021. She received a Wordsmith Award at the Innovate Awards in 2021. Andrea's writings have inspired and challenged people over the internet for 20 years. As an author, she has written Awakened Stealth Leadership, a soulful approach to growing people and organisations, inspired by more than 4 decades of experience in leadership, the award-winning and best-selling Compassionate Prosperity, When Success is Not Enough, and Moment of Infinity, anthology of daily devotionals. She's also provided chapters in various books and written many published articles. She now lives in Melbourne, among the gum trees, kangaroos and cockatoos with her husband and pet cockatoo Fella. She has 2 adult children and 2 grandchildren who keep her jumping in puddles. That is a fairly hefty bio, Andrea.
That is.
Congratulations.
It's like, when did I give you that?
So that was when we first received the copies of your book, or when you first listed your book with this Compassionate Prosperity. So yeah,
yeah, that's probably what I've got written in the book.
There you go. So tell us a little, when did you first start writing for publishing? When was your first sort of, yes, I'm going to write a book?
That was only about 5 years ago when I did Awaken Stealth Leadership. I think that was five years, maybe 6. I can't remember now exactly.
Yeah.
But I was working with a gentleman called Som Saini, and he was, and we were talking about leadership and employee engagement. He was had a a doctorate in employee engagement. So we were talking about that, and the book developed, and was like, okay, I can write a book. I can write a book in 1 month. Woohoo! And it was, it wasn't a thin book. My other books are thin. So I kind of had thought about writing a book before that, but I just needed that kind of little bit of right now. We're doing this. It has purpose. So I didn't really start writing until when I had my business online. I started writing articles and things, and it just kind of didn't know that I could write, and it just kind of kept developing after that, I was just writing more and more, and next thing I know, 15 years later or so, I wrote books. So 20 years later, I've got 4 books.
Yes, which is fantastic. Yeah. So tell us, let's take you back to when you were a wee lass, and what kind of books did you read when you were a child? What started your book world?
My book world. Interesting that I have 2 of my favourite books here in my office that I've just kept. One of them is looking really ragged, and it had been stuck together several times, and I pulled it out the other day to read to my 3-year-old granddaughter, and it's a book that I got when I was 3, and it was called In the Nest. So it's got all these Australian animals in it, and so it's a fairly big book, and it was just a beautiful expression that I just really loved this book. And then I had another one called I'm Tired of Lions, which I'm looking at it the other day online, and it's like, my book would be worth quite a bit because it's a first edition. But, just those general childhood books. And I remember reading a lot of Enid Blyton as I grew older, and, Millie, Molly and Mandy, and the Naughtiest Girl in the School. That was one of the favourites. I think I read the whole series of The Naughtiest Girl in the School.
It wasn't very naughty after all, really, was she?
No, she was very nice, but she was just strong-willed. Reminds me of my granddaughter.
Is this the 3-year-old?
Yes. Oh yeah.
They can be very determined at that age, can't they?
Yes.
Childhood and then into online. What attracted you to the early online world? Tell me about that.
Yeah, I had just finished studying naturopathy and deciding where I went with my business. And at the time, my children were in high school, and my son was just learning all about the internet, this brand new thing, and how you could put your own business online. He goes, Mum, why don't you go online? Always up for a challenge. Okay, I'll do that. So he helped me to start with to show me how to get a website up, and my knowledge of web building quickly overtook his, and I had to learn HTML back those days. And then there was no Google, no PayPal, no easy to build website stuff happening. It was all very complicated, and we had the dial-up internet happening, and yeah.
I can still
But
hear the sound.
yeah. So it was kind of fun exploring this new world and getting out there. So it was like I say, very different, because you'd put on your website, subscribe to my newsletter, and everyone would do it.
This was a new thing.
But nobody wanted to put their details on the internet. That was a really interesting
yeah.
thing. So instead of what happens now, you go to the shop, you look at something, you go home, you find it and buy it. People were doing the opposite. They would go online, take my information and my advice and suggestions, and then go to the health food shop and buy their products. So it took a while to really work with that. But it was part of, I'm a naturopath. How am I going to set up a business? And that's how I did it. And it was a lot of work to get that moving, but it did. It eventually did. And then I ended up selling it after 7 years.
Which is a good step, and left you open for the next part of your life.
That's right. The next journey.
Yeah.
Tick.
I've
done that.
Done that.
What's next? I feel like my life's like that. It's like, done that. Let's move on. Let's do something else now.
Yeah, I got a bit of a sense of that, which is delightful. All right. So let's look then at your book. So let's jump into, writing that first book. I'm going to read people Compassionate Prosperity. I'm just going to read them the blurb. So if you hang on half a moment while I switch over here, and then you can tell us what brought that. Compassionate Prosperity when success is not enough. Here's the blurb. Money makes the world go round. Or does it? Business leaders and entrepreneurs are often driven by money. However, it's those that are driven by something greater than themselves, doing or giving something that can assist others. That's when success takes on a different meaning. Andrea lives and breathes a selfless devotion to helping others in all walks of life from around the world. Her insight into human behaviour and her giving of time to those who seek her compassion and guidance has helped many people on their journey of discovery and prosperity. Knowledge gained serves only one. Knowledge shared serves thousands. Andrea continues her search for knowledge through her podcast or sharing with many others who tune in. Compassionate prosperity can be achieved by everyone, especially with the guidance from this book and listening to Andrea's podcast. So tell us the message. Can you give us the pitch or the blurb behind that? We've said the blurb. Tell us about the message.
Yeah, the message is, I always think it's quite simple. The message is that when we look at a purpose beyond business, that we find something that is more inspiring, that gives us a greater sense of purpose and helps us to find a different type of success, find that purpose in that feeling of fulfillment in our lives. So, when business just strives for business sake and to earn money, which is really important, I never put that down. It is really important that we do that. However, if it has a greater purpose, it does something more for the world, and it does something more for us. It inspires us. It inspires inspires employees. It inspires customers. It does something of value to the world while increasing its ability to make a profit, be productive, and be more innovative. All that kind of flows when people are inspired and, get up and go to work each day, and they don't feel like, they might, whatever their day-to-day job is, if they've got that something extra that they're doing, it makes a big difference. Like if I go to work, when I do my work and the business is profitable, is productive, then we help these people. We change this part of the world. It's just having that extra inspiration into your life of what you're doing. It's more than just your job.
It's interesting timing-wise, I teach leadership, and the module that I've been working on of late is positive meaning. So I use Kim Cameron's model, Amy Wisniewski, about whether it's a job, a career, or calling, Shalom Schwartz's values and all of those kind of things, and connecting that with what the latest statistics are from Gallup, which of course suggests that workers around the world are just not engaged, that are just, everybody is feeling, and they do something like 180 countries, or so it's fairly well across the board. Apart from a few notable exceptions, is that many people are not engaged in work. They're not engaged often because their leaders are not engaging them, which is interesting. And how can we give people back that sense that their meaning in their work is part of who they value, what their core beliefs are, what they value, what their core beliefs are, getting myself tangled there. And it's a really interesting, complex equation to try and find what motivates people and reconnect them to meaning in life.
Yeah.
So how do you find that you do that through your books and your podcast?
Yeah, so it's really about finding that thing that it does inspire people. So what I find is really important is that, so for any business that does want to engage social mission, first of all, is that it has to come from the right place. You can't do it just so your employees are engaged, or you can't do it just to tick off a box. If you're going to do that, just forget it. Just put some money into the plate, But if you do it from the right place, because you do want to do more, you care about your employees, you care about the world. And I like to believe that everyone goes into the business with a greater calling than just making money. So if you connect with that, but also to connect to that within the community of your workplace, and not to go in and say, well, we're going to do this, but instead to work with them and find what's important to them. Find that common threads between each person and the business, and focus on that, and then find a way for everyone to feel like they're involved in that. Because there's a lot of businesses that might just, like I said, tick the box with corporate social responsibility. They'll decide that they're going to support X and Y organizations or whatever. And then it becomes just, okay, we're doing that. There's no involvement with the community. People aren't feeling like they're involved. So how can they get involved in that? Are they getting that regular reports of what's going on? Is there volunteer days that they can get involved in so that they're a part of it? How are they interacting? That communication with that is really important, and finding ways that they can be involved. My mind's just rushing with a whole lot of ideas.
Ideas.
Right?
All right, let's see if we can ask it from the other way. The most successful, I guess, people, groups, companies that you've worked with, what do you think are the 2 or 3 things that have made a difference, that actually put them on a different plane of working, of compassionate prosperity?
Yeah. So I can bring in my other thing of chocolate and coffee breaks. So because I've just been working on a little book with that, just for, this is what it's about. So I'm just kind of had been thinking the last couple of days about in a workspace when a CEO, for example, spends time with individuals, has a chocolate and coffee break with them, or people have a chocolate and coffee break together, get to know each other, get to interact and create that personal relationship, that changes everything within a business. People feel like they've got a safe place that they're working. They feel that they can come to to their bosses and talk to them about what's happening, and the boss knows them and interacts. It just makes an enormous difference. So that's kind of like, right, pull that into, that's an important first step. So having those interactions is important. And like I said, finding that together, finding each person's own purpose for what they're doing. Well, I always talk about going beyond the why, not looking, like Simon Sinek says, start with why. I'm going beyond the why because I find that your greater purpose is often beyond the why. But if you can look at why people are working, why they are inspired to work in a workplace, then sometimes that thing that's beyond the why becomes really clear on what it is that the business does so well that it can share with the world. And sometimes it's just those things that the business does that they can grow on and share outside of the world that's going to be the most powerful.
Okay. How long did it take you to find your purpose or to shape your purpose that you could share it with the world?
Oh, yeah. Now I'm in my early 60s.
It's all right, me too.
So I'm just saying, it's taken a long time.
Takes a while.
So I think I went on that kind of journey when like you said, after I worked for somebody else and I left that job for various reasons. It was just time for me to move on. And then I went on that exploration. Well, what am I supposed to be doing in the world? So that was now about 12 years ago that I started on that journey beyond, because I feel like I've constantly gone, okay, what's next? This trying to find my greater purpose. I really think only now in the last few years, I've really started to understand that since I went into, so when I started the podcast and started writing, then I started to understand what it is that's most important to me. My writing really brought out what is important to me, what it is that I want to share with the world, it's not even what I want to share with the world, what's within me that I have to share with the world. I find with both my books, I talk about the thing that you can't not do. And to me, once you find that thing that you can't not do, then you're pretty solid on your direction on where you're going with life. And so that's what in my book, Compassionate Purpose, that's more about finding that personal thing that you can't not do and understanding your purpose a little bit more.
Okay, let's read the blurb then. Nice segue, thank you. For Compassionate Purpose. All right. So Andrea's book, Compassionate Purpose, Discovering a Life of Fulfillment. We didn't plan this, but that's perfect. So in Compassionate Purpose, Andrea takes readers on a profound journey of self-discovery and meaningful living. This inspiring book transcends age, inviting everyone to embrace their inner calling and make a positive impact on the world. Discover the transformative power of compassion, kindness, and purpose as you delve into the heartwarming stories shared within these pages. From Andrea's 85-year-old mother to individuals from all walks of life, these stories remind us that it's never too late to find purpose and create lasting change. This book provides practical guidance to help you identify and nurture your unique social mission. Through introspective exercises and reflections, you'll rekindle your connection with your values, talents, and the world around you, setting the stage for a fulfilling life. Compassionate Purpose emphasises that no action is too small. Whether you choose to support local causes, advocate for social issues, or simply lend a helping hand to those in need, you'll discover that your contributions have a profound ripple effect. Join the compassion movement and become an agent of positive change. This book encourages readers to engage actively in causes that resonate with them, whether it's environmental conservation, community development, or promoting social justice. There you go. That's, spot on, Andrea.
And it's really nice because I didn't write that. It was one of my testimonies for the book.
Oh, fantastic.
And the other one
is
was too.
beautiful.
It was really nice.
Yeah.
It's like nice hearing their words again. It's like,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There you go. Tell us about some of the stories or some of the people that you've met whose stories you've gathered into this particular book.
oh, lots of stories.
Yeah.
I always go to my favourite one, and that's of Melinda Shelley. She started an organisation called 123 Read to Me. And that's all about, she collects books that are gently loved to provide to children whose families cannot afford to provide books. So she was horrified when she realised that in her community there were people living in poverty, and the last thing that they could afford, they were struggling to put food on the table. So how are they going to buy books for their children? So she started collecting, she started with her son's books and started giving those away. And then she has just built that into an organisation where now she's giving books away all over the country. And you'll often go into different places and see a box where you, like Coles, and where you can leave your books that your children no longer are reading, they've grown out of. And she also takes them into places where, like when there's bushfires and storms and things and kids have lost everything, she will provide books for them. And it's just such a beautiful, beautiful thing that she does. And I talk about her whenever anyone asks me this question, right in the front, I talk about 123 Read to Me. So if you've got some books, some children's books that are no longer being read, then you can share them with.
Beautiful. 123 Read to Me. Excellent. That
seems
good.
really appropriate to share that.
Australian book lovers, I think you've picked us spot on. We do love a little bit of a read. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah. So like I said, that's my favourite one.
Andrea, you also spend time talking to groups. So as a speaker, tell us about the kind of groups that you talk to and who ask you to speak, and what are the I guess the intentions of your work there.
Yeah, so I speak to all sorts of different groups of people who are wanting a bit of inspiration in their life, looking for a bit of purpose and direction, organisations who need to just lift up their people and go, well, maybe there's something a little bit more in your life than what you're looking, or bringing people together to inspire them to go, okay, what can we do? How can we make a difference in the world? So, with both these books, it depends on who I'm talking to. So one's directed towards individuals and one's for business. So the stories that I share depend on where we're going with that. So, I love to get up and speak to the business owners, especially about compassionate prosperity. And then, I'm happy to go and talk to a group of people, maybe some retirees, about compassionate purpose who want to find something more in life. So, what's next? What's next? People are ready to go, what's next? And that's where I came with the title of Compassionate Prosperity, when success is not enough. You've done all that stuff. You've achieved. Now what? And I have a couple of great stories in both the books about people who have got to that level and then just got to the billionaire status and go, all right, what purpose have I got now? I'm really feeling suicidal because they've done everything. It's like, well, what's next? So finding that purpose gets you out of bed every morning.
Yeah.
So, that's the kind of people I talk to. And of course, I talk about chocolate and coffee breaks as well, which is community orientated and bringing people together, a bit of diversity and inclusion stuff. So
good for team building. And we are only human. that seeks to find out our meaning of life, isn't it? It's, what is it? Socrates says, an unexamined life is a life not worth living. So encouraging people with that reflection, with that thinking about purposes. Yeah. As a coach, I'm doing that all the time. And some of these things, you can't unlearn them. So once you've opened people's mind to those possibilities, that's fantastic. You set them on the right path.
Yeah. To me, I'm always happy. I feel successful if somebody has just thought, well, maybe there's something more I can be doing. And sometimes it's even the other way and saying, well, I am making a difference with what I do, because some people don't realize that. And that's where I bring in that story about my mother. It was like, well, Mum, what's important? And to her, it was just being kind to people, that when she sees someone in the street who needs someone to talk to, she would sit and talk to them. So saying to somebody sometimes that what they are doing is important, that they are making a difference. And, that is just as important as somebody else who says, well, maybe there is something more I can be doing.
Kindness and compassion are some of the most underrated things that humans can do for each other, aren't they?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And also self-compassion. I know, Dr. Christian Neff's work on self-compassion is incredibly important. We need to look after ourselves as well, to be those shining lights or those positive energizers in people's lives.
Yeah, and that is a really important point, which I started writing a book on. I'll get back to it.
Okay.
But that thing about you have to take care of yourself, and to be effective, to have that energy, to continually keep that passion alive, you've got to take care of yourself. And it's something that I've had to be mindful of myself, because when I don't do that, my health deteriorates. So I have to stay on top of that and make sure that yesterday I had a day off, because once a month I have a day off to take care of myself.
Fantastic.
So we have to do that.
It is so important. Tell me, who inspires you? Who are the people that you read? What books are you reading?
Oh, yeah, there's a few books that kind of scatter through my office space. There's one here sitting underneath. My microphone is sitting underneath, and I'm just going to share this one because I pulled it out, and I have no idea why I pulled it out the other day. It's called The Olive Tree by Miriam El-Huli. Brilliant book, and very timely at the moment. It's a novel, but it's written to help us to have compassion for other people, and talks about it's a story set in Gaza. I think it's in Gaza, and the story of two girls that are Jew and a Muslim, and their interactions in their families and things. Brilliant book. And she's making a movie of it. So I'm looking forward to that. So there's that one. And I know Miriam, she's a beautiful woman. And I'm currently reading a new book which hasn't been released yet, called Listening to Liars by Ross Judd. That's going to be one to watch out for. That helps us to be more compassionate and listen to the people that we love, so that we can really hear what it is they're trying to tell us. It's going beyond the surface. So that's a brilliant book to read as well. When it comes out. Oh,
when it comes out, yeah. So you've got an art copy, which is brilliant. We love those. Tell me, Andrea, you've also got another string to your bow, book publishing you've begun. When did that begin?
That began, well, it was my journey when I was publishing these two books. I was actually publishing 3 books, because I did another one, which is my spiritual writings, which was more just because I wanted the book. So I put them into a book. So I was publishing 3 books at once. And it was like, well, how do I afford publishing 3 books at once? I can't. So I instead invested in learning how to publish, because it's quite it's so many different things you've got to pull together to make it work. So I did that, and I published my books, and then people started asking me if I would publish for them. So that started About 2 years ago. I think I was working on my first book 2 years ago. And yeah, so now I publish other people's books who are mostly self-help not self-help, personal development style books. And I'm just working on one book which you will love. 7 Wonders of Menopause.
Oh,
The mother of all wake-up calls. It's
uh-huh.
brilliant. And I've published some really wonderful books, Running in Circles by Jill Stapleton. And oh yeah, I could go on.
Oh,
Really,
that's all
really
right.
great books. So,
What's that?
if you want to know more, look up Putting Words and you'll find the
Good.
books that I've published.
There you go. Very good. So tell me your advice for writers. What is your advice for them? And as an author of 4 non-fiction books, what do you suggest people do?
I suggest that they write and write and write, because the more that you write, the better you get. And when I've not written for a little while, and then I go back and read what I've written before, it's just like, oh my God, I've got to keep writing. I have to keep writing to keep my skills up. But then don't just stop there. You've got to share it, because what you have written has power. You have to share what you've written. Don't keep it to yourself. Share it with the world. Get it.
Yeah. Fantastic. Where can people find you online, Andrea?
They can find me all over the place. But if they want to go to andreaputting.com, I've set up a page that just has all of my links for social media and my 4 or 5 different websites.
I like someone who's as guilty of multiple websites as me. So that's fantastic.
Yeah. And I feel like I feel a bit I feel like I've neglected it a little bit, and I should have more. But yeah, so they can find my podcast links there too, which the podcast is I've stopped doing that one, but there'll be a new one coming, which will have that base in it, which will be around compassion.
Brilliant. All right. So that's Andrea Putting, PUTTING.com. Fantastic. All right. Any final words for people? What would you say to encourage people to pick up one of your books?
Well, I have this thing that I always say, and it's if you touch one person's life, you change the world. You change it for yourself, you change it for them, and that ripples out and creates a legacy worth living. So if you want to find your legacy that's worth living, pick up one of my books. It will help you on your journey.
Absolutely. And of course, you can find Andrea's books on the non-fiction page of the Australian Book Lovers. So Andrea Putting, author, speaker, entrepreneur, podcaster and publisher, mother and grandmother, many other things. Thank you so much for joining us for the Australian Book Lovers podcast.
Thank you, Veronica. It's been a joy spending some time with you.
Thank you, Andrea Putting, so much for sharing with us about your books about compassionate prosperity, compassionate purpose, and also Moments of Infinity, which was your book about devotions. Lots of fabulous things for people to think about and
absolutely
just sort of mull in your mind.
Yeah, I loved also the books being passed down from 3-year-old to 3-year-old through the generations. I always love a good, well-loved book that you can do that with. And and of course, Melinda Shelley with the 1, 2, 3 Read, donating books for disadvantaged families, which is a lovely story and a lovely idea. And of course, you can jump into libraries and everything is free there too. So it's marvelous. The more books with kiddos, the better, I think. And yeah, such an interesting idea with the purpose and having to come from the right place, that it's not a ticker box activity. And I think that's very much true with many companies and many businesses. It's not a ticker box. Engaging staff is is pretty important. And
Yeah.
you know, we do spend what, a majority of our lifetime working?
Huge amounts of hours working. So, there is so much about bringing meaning into the workplace. And, as I think I mentioned, the fact that it's incumbent on leaders in particular that it is their responsibility in there to make sure that they engage workers, because if you're giving people meaning in life, it just makes things so much better. It really
and you
does.
are there for such a majority of your day, and that I love the way that you pointed out that it's such a complex equation to engage staff, and it really is. I mean, we've all experienced different levels of workplace engagement, and it can be tough sometimes. You really want to know that you're making a difference. It's
And when there are so many layers to an organisation, say, like a health organisation, and we've got, 5 sites, and so can be really hard to connect what somebody is, working at the coalface, either clinically or in hospitality, and how that connects to the mission of the organisation, and how their own values connect to the values of what the organisation as a group have decided. And, it's just so incumbent. I can't say it more, often enough, is that the leaders have to do it. And people rely on the leadership being role models, and on, creating that sort of sense of well-being, and particularly connecting to community. And I know organisations sometimes do the triple bottom line budgets and financials, where they make sure that a huge part of their finances bleeds back into charity work, or bleeds back into social justice, or whatever that might be. And some of that is a really good way to start. But you can start really small by being kind, by practicing gratitude, by just acknowledging people, and compassion, practicing compassion. Yeah, absolutely.
So, fascinating chat.
It was a fascinating chat, and leads into our quotes.
Inspiration.
Indeed, it was inspiring. It made me go and have a look at some of the work that Dr. Christian Neff, who teaches self-compassion. Amazing person. So I've got 2 though.
Okay.
Sorry,
I've only got one.
All right. Well, maybe I'll do one, then you do one, I'll do one. So the first one is from His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama, who said that a truthful, compassionate attitude is a sign of strength. Yeah. Of course. So there you go.
So very true.
Yeah.
I've got one from William Faulkner. So read everything, trash, classics, good and bad, and see how they do it. Just like a carpenter who works as an apprentice and studies the master. Read, you'll absorb it, and then write. If it's good, you'll find out. If it's not, throw it out the window. And I have to say, there are many times that I have wanted to throw everything out the window. That
is a really good quote. Read everything. Because sometimes I'm reading, I think, this is so trashy. What the hell am I reading this for? This is dreadful. But it is good to know why. So why? Would it appeal to somebody else? Is it just that it's not me? Or is
sometimes
this is really bad
trashy
writing?
Stuff is brilliant. Like it sometimes is so well wrten, and it's like
compelling, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like a disaster waiting to happen sometimes.
Exactly. And I love a good trashy story when I'm relaxing and I just want to not think and be entertained. It's funny using the word trash.
Yes.
It's not that it's a bad book. It's just, it's funny how we've got a perception of what a trashy book is. But you know what? Some of what I view as trashy books, I love them. They make me feel great. So, it's all good.
It's all good. It is all good. All right. So let me give you my Christian Neff quote, which is, the beauty of self-compassion is that instead of replacing negative feelings with positive ones, new positive emotions are generated by embracing the negative ones.
I like that.
It's good. And it kind of, all of this stuff kind of all fits together. There's a guy called Dr. Paul Wong who did a lot on the human meaning of life, and his model of his dual systems model, which builds on Viktor Frankl's model from, that many years ago, talks about the fact that positive and negative attitudes, and then you kind of approach or avoid, can lead to positive or negative outcomes, but all of those can be good.
Yeah.
all of those can be learning.
Yeah,
all of
you can
those
learn
can
from
be
it.
growth of
Mhm.
yourself and your self-awareness and all of that kind of thing. So it's absolutely fascinating. It's
It's a great
heavy
one.
stuff, you've got to get into it and read it. But
Yep.
once you start to look at that meaning of life stuff, it just does generate and seed the thoughts, and you reprioritize some of the stuff that you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. I love it.
There you go. So
There you
it's
go. So we've reached the end. My
I think we've reached
goodness.
the end.
What an
Yes.
episode.
It is an episode. And
Absolutely.
we will have an upcoming episode. We've got our other co-founder and previously co-presenter Darren Kazenko has agreed to come onto a writer's room when he gets back from holidaying in Japan. So look out for that in a future episode. But the next episode is going to be a bit of a surprise because we haven't quite got that organised. So let's not mention that on air. But what we say, please jump onto the Australian Book Lovers website, buy an Australian book, leave a review, even if you borrow it from the library if you don't buy it, because that helps.
Tell everyone, tell
a
others.
friend,
it
tell
really
two
helps.
friends. Yes.
Yep, absolutely.
And what have we got to remind people to do, Laurie?
We have to remind people to
read more Aussie
books.
We're getting better.
We are. Absolutely. I love it.
Thanks, everybody, for listening and or watching. Bye for now.
Bye for now.
Let's meet again, where magic happens.